Hey, fellow Aquas. How y'all doing? Welcome. We are going to be taking a look at your Maven through Samhain seasonal general reading here. So, a quick note. So, in the Northern Hemisphere, we are going into the time of year where we're going from the autumnal equinox, November 22nd, which is Maven, through Maven season into Samhain, and then prepping to go into the Yuletide, right, for the end of the year in this last quarter. Now, if you are in the Southern Hemisphere, it's flip it and reverse it. These are two sides of the same coin. So a lot of similar messages. You're just going towards the growing of the light. And those of us in the Northern Hemisphere are going towards the dying of the light or the growing of the darkness. So they're parallels, just different sides of the coin. So you can take everything that comes through here to heart and just, putting it through the lens of where you are, in your specific geographical location. Okay, so in your meditation, I saw a bear. Bear medicine is very much about timing. It is seasonal, right? It's winter and then, waking up for spring, and it's very much about cycles. So it's interesting too with the northern southern hemisphere, like spring, winter, those opposites. It's really, really interesting. This bear felt incredibly powerful, as bears are. And I saw it walking through this forest and then coming out to this like winterscape where everything was just covered in snow. And then I saw it sort of make its way across this partially frozen lake and set up somewhere else. It was like taking a journey. And then it landed somewhere where I knew a lot of people were going to be going, but it was early, like way early, like a season early. And I saw it like going, oh, this is okay. I get the place to myself for a while. And it was this huge mountain, and it was at the base of this huge mountain. And this bear made a hot tub because there was this hot glacier, made a hot tub out of the snow, and then went and sat in it from this hot, I guess, glacier water. I don't know, like a hot spring. It's symbolic, darlings. It's all symbols. And I saw it sit in this hot tub, looking out at this snowy, frozen lake, going like, yo. And it knew that these other ships were going to be coming in, that everyone was going to be arriving when it was warmer. But for now, there was such ecstasy and divine just joy in getting there before the rest of the, before it got busy. It was like, woo, I got peace and quiet. I got this homemade hot tub all to myself. I can just be chill. And then, the time will come where I'll be here first to greet everyone when, make it to shore. It's really, really fascinating. So what's coming to mind with this, Aquas, is after I do these readings, after I do these channeled readings, I might remember parts of it, especially if they, people are in the comment section referring to the same bit. I'll be like, oh yeah. But for the large part, I don't remember a lot of these because they're channeled, right? But I am being reminded, and I feel like I was reminded last time maybe also, about a time period that has been coming through for the Aquarian Collective for a minute here. And I feel like, was the time period like Capricorn season? Was it? Can you tell me in the comments? Because I literally, how it's coming across is, I'm seeing, remember that time you've been talking about? That's what we're referencing that now because it's coming close. And I'm like, oh, was that Capricorn season? I think it was Capricorn season. Anyway, focus being drawn to that very, 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 very strongly. Capricorn season, I'm not great with specific dates, but I know it's right before Aquarius season. Aquarius season starts on January 20th. So Capricorn season is, from mid to late into, January 20th. So it's interesting that we're looking at the time frame, right? Because we aren't into Yule time yet. That'll be the next round. We're looking at Yuletide. We're looking at that period before the period that I've been channeling that is so important for y'all right now. So it's fascinating, but I can't tell you how rare it is. And if you've been with me for any length of time, you know how rare it is for me to pinpoint a time period and go, this time matters, this time right now. Really, really fascinating. So take from that what you will, but that is just coming up, and it feels like that is the theme here. So The animal for this time period is whale. Now, this is really interesting because I saw that bear crossing the water. Whale energy is that deeply esoteric, ancient, meant to be wise sage energy. It's Queen of Cups energy. It's feeling incredibly, intuitively connected, empath energy, just incredibly centered and knowledgeable and ancient and timeless, right? Another thing that I saw in your meditation, by the way, that I want to say, do you know that trope in the movies where it's like a hero's journey, right? We've seen that like so many times. It's it works for a reason. It's a good one, right? The hero's journey, originally coined by Joseph Campbell. The hero, there's always a point in the story where, let's say the hero has a map of some sort, or has I'm on this specific mission, right? And then the hero either loses the map or the map gets, destroyed or something. And suddenly the hero is, at a certain halfway point in their journey, and they no longer have a map, or their guide disappears. Like when Gandalf, leaves Frodo. It's wow, I had a map, I had like a safeguard here, and now it's just gone and it's out the window. And I'm seeing that image of like the point in the story where like the blindfold goes on and they're having to like go forward without really knowing what's coming, feeling less like, oh, okay, I don't know what's coming up next. I'm just gonna have to be ready for anything. I'm also seeing that image from like the Karate Kid where the Karate Kid was trained with the blindfold. And it was like, oh God, why do I gotta train with the blindfold? This is dumb. But then like the fight scene comes where sand is like kicked into his eyes and he goes blind, and suddenly he's like, oh, I was trained for this. And like suddenly all of his other senses are like there. I have shivers as I'm talking about this. It feels like we are entering a time frame for the Aquarian collective where that blindfold is on. It feels like a midway part, or a certain, part of the journey where it is like your card here, which is you, up in the air. But it feels like it's a part of the process and a part of the journey here. That bear crossing and getting somewhere early ahead of time so that it had time to wait and chill and ground itself. What is coming? Trust me. Trust that something big is coming, and that the more that you can center yourself in this time and be okay with things changing rapidly, relationships transforming in some way, opportunities transforming, things happening in a way that feels a bit like, oh, I don't have the map anymore. This is all being constructed and laid out specifically for you so that whatever is coming during this season that we've been looking at for so long here, so that you are prepared and ready. This apparent lack of a map quote is actually like a map that's actually written in the stars for you. So you just have to follow that northern light. Y'all, I'm channeling this. I don't know exactly what it means. This is what it is. It feels karmic. It feels, like it's a big part of the soul plan. And speaking of which, and then we'll get into the cards here. Speaking of which, I was using a completely different deck for these readings. These are all the same, but this core, I was using a different deck because I use smaller cards because it works for the spacing a little better on the table. And this deck would not pull a card. And I was like, this is the wrong deck for Aquarians. And I was called to go to the Akashic Tarot deck, which I don't ever use as the base for reading because it's all very karmic big lessons. And it's sort of like the advanced tarot in a way. It's like tarot, but for the soul. Like it's like extra, right? It's like Ascended Masters level tarot. So I just want to say that. I feel like it feels like important for that reason. So you are coming through is up in the air, number 18, which by the way is a major within this deck. Whenever you see these numbers, that means it's a major arcana energy, right? Versus your outcome of One of Forces here, Ace of Wands, which is, part of the particular elemental suits. So coming in as a major here with up in the air. Now, this is actually really brilliant, but it depends on how you look at it, right? This is a lot like what it sounds like, right? Where things are in motion, things are shifting. The map, right, is in that air balloon and it's flying away without you, right? But again, you're underneath the sky. You have everything that you need. You have signs and symbols within the universe, within your, your team. We're going into Samhain season. You're going to have that connection to the other side. Alternatively, if you're in the southern hemisphere, You're going to be going into Beltane season, which is there are two times of the year where the veil is at its most thin, and they are counterpoints to each other. One is Samhain and the other is Beltane on first. So the fact that you have access to these signs and symbols in this like hotline, like to the other side, your ancestors, to these messages and this knowledge is no coincidence. You are losing the map, but you are gaining all of the information you need. I have shivers with this. It just feels, by the way, that trope in the story, like it's only after the hero loses the map that they find that, it's so trite, but like, the map was inside them all along. Like they didn't need it. They didn't need it, right? Something about this. Something is shifting in a rather large way. So in your place of challenge, you have the muse. Now, this is fascinating because the muse is very much about, inspiration points. With the muses were in Greek mythology. They were about inspiring people towards art, their business, their personal genius. It's feeling like, oh, I'm feeling the muse. I'm feeling the source of inspiration. I feel connected. I'm feeling like it's all flowing. The fact that this is coming in from your place of challenge, would denote to me that allow the muse to transform from what it has been or what the form it usually takes, right? For example, if your muse or your creative point or how you usually get ideas or how you make decisions in your life, if you have a choice to make, how you usually go about making it, you might find that hits a little bit different during this time period. Try something else. For example, if how you usually feel centered in your decision making or in your creative life is usually achieved through, taking a walk and then journaling and then, sitting down and spending time in, creative, images, collages or whatever, I'm finding that might not work in the same way for you during this time. There's another neural pathway that wants to be carved out for you, and it can only be carved out if you're open to something, being willing to do something differently, right? Maybe the creativity or the idea or the knowledge wants to come through a different way because you're meant to ascend to a bigger and better and greater access of knowledge and inspiration, right? It's like if you've been your muse, right? The equivalent of your muse or the way that you access that muse for yourself, which is again, your personal genius, your personal purpose, why you're here, what you do, how you do it, right? If you've been just feasting on appetizers of creativity, but your guides, your soul, the universe is going, but it's time for them to move on to the mains, but you're just getting fixated because the appetizers aren't appetizing anymore. It's like, well, okay, let me just allow the blindfold to be here. Let me allow the map to transform and go blank, and then just walk. Just go ahead and be open and get curious about it, right? Wow, the way that I usually do this isn't really working in the same way. What's a new way? Let me get curious about it. Instead of mourning, any shifts that be coming or changes, because there are a lot of changes coming, I can tell you that much. It's about getting curious about what might be wanting to come in now that there's a little bit more room there, right? It's something about that. I feel like a lot of people don't talk about this too much, but it's true. As we are humanitarians, we are visionaries, we're inventors, we're a lot of wonderful things. We are also a fixed sign, which means that we struggle with change, inherently so. It just is what it is. We are here to teach others about and ourselves about, how change can be, in terms of your soul growth, like hard and pivotal, but also, it's about mirroring that part of the human experience that feels safest in consistency, right? When we know what's coming, when we have a thing and we fall in love with it and then we want to do it all the time, then it's like, oh, that thing goes away and it's like, oh, who am I? What am I? When am I? Right? There's something about that with the fixed sign that's coming in here that's going, your relationship to change and stability and consistency is going to be challenged. But the mother of invention is necessity, right? And I feel like it is coming that way for you, being scripted in that way through the stars in your alignment, because you're meant to happen upon something, a greater map system, a greater way, the main course, right, of your purpose or the manifestation of your purpose or your relationships, your path, that you would only come upon if that map went out the window. Your way of typically doing things, your plan goes out the window, right? Your relationship to change is what this blindfold is coming through to you to represent, okay? Now, in the place of advice, we have Hilarion, which is very like Hierophant energy. It's very like, exactly where I'm meant to be. But now what's really fascinating about this is that we have all these like ancestors here. Can you see that? All these ancestors here, this guy looking in the book here. I feel like you are very, I'm thinking about back in the day before any of us were alive, right? When there wasn't, even the tarot as it is, when there wasn't YouTube to watch things like this, when there wasn't, technology, right? When there wasn't the same access to knowledge that we have now, how did our ancestors make choices? How did they know what to do? When anyone they knew wasn't available by telephone, when, everything was sort of dependent on their natural surroundings, right? They had to do things when it was light and then, get inside when it was dark. How did they get information and knowledge? How did they connect in with themselves and make the best choices, right? Well, they probably connected to the land around them. They probably connected with themselves. They probably had a lot of quiet and lack of, electromagnetic energy going on. They were able to connect in with that voice within because there was a lot less stimuli, and that was the only choice that they had. This is your advice. This also speaks of careers in communication, mediumship, forensic science, invention, writing, anything that's like on the forefront of something. You're the forefront of a movement. You're at the forefront of something. It's like that bear getting in the hot tub before anybody else gets there. You're paving the way around something. And the more that you're willing to have that blindfold on and, re-examine your relationship to change, the more that you're able to step into this purpose from a place of not just surety, but unprecedented reality. It's like unprecedented. It's never been seen or happened before. It's new. It's fresh. It's something. It is such an upgrade. Although upgrade feels like too small a word, to be honest. From how you've been doing something or where you've been, it's like you. It's like I'm seeing an image of a computer or a phone that needs to go through an upgrade. In order to upgrade, it has to be turned off and then reboot. This time period for you, that blindfold, this time up in the air, is you being turned off so that you can reboot and then be prepared for this coming Capricorn season. You're going to be updated. You're going to have features that you didn't have before. You're going to be the newest and best version. I feel like this is literal for some of you. There could be a product or a relationship or something you're writing or something you're doing or putting out there that feels like it's, I can't think of the word, but it's like, it's like a new invention. It's like a true Aquarian birthright of this didn't exist before me. I can think like, oh, it shivers and chills. So in your place of victory, which is interesting because you have the same victory as you do outcome, just in two different decks. So one of forces is the Ace of Wands, the Akashic field, and you have the Ace of Wands here as well in your place of outcome. So this is just incredibly powerful. Again, it's speaking to me of that, soul-related karmic aspect as well. The Akashic field is where all of this stuff comes from. The Akashic field is where we tap into as readers to divine energy and messages and knowledge. It's what our loved ones on the other side are filtered through when they're communicating. We meet them in the Akashic field, right? We raise our energy and they lower theirs so we can meet in the Akashic field or, on the other side of the veil, however you want to look at it. This is how I look at it, in order to communicate. So this is where everything that is created is birthed, right? This is your place of victory. You are accessing and thriving in the Akashic field, the birthplace of all invention and revolution and life and magic. The fact that your place of challenge is coming in as the muse is a step to the Akashic field. It's sort of like the messenger, right? When we call on that muse, right? The muse accesses the Akashic field and then filters through that to give us the message or the insight. That's the challenge. We're trying to access the same use that we've always done, or in the same way we've always done it, and coming up short. Then the victory comes as you are going to be accessing this in a completely new way and most directly. I have to say, I do feel like there's a group of you that like the mediumship ability is going to be next level. I'm not sure you're going to realize that's what it is though, but you don't have to. You're having these ingenious ideas, or you're having these moments of point and purpose, or these magical, moments within yourself that are so far and above what you've experienced before. But I feel like for some of you, that is being directly channeled from those who've come before you. And not just your DNA ancestors, but the ancestors that lived where you live, honey, right? If you live in a particular, like I'm in England, right? It would be the ancestors that walked on this earth, that stood on this ground, the landcestors, honey, landcestors. So you're not just pulling that magic from people who are related to you. You're pulling the magic from where you are. Whew! I have shivers and chills, and I feel like as I'm looking at this and as I'm channeling this for you, I just have this feeling like I'm Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz, and we're about to see what's behind the curtain, only to learn that it's us that's behind the curtain, and we're stepping into our, ascension point. That's the best way I can think to put it. Ace of Wands, traditionally speaking, is about a new beginning, burst of inspiration, fresh new life, a passionate path forward. It's about virility. It's about creation. It's about genius and mastery, right? That is the outcome. And that is the victory. Writers. If you don't journal, if you don't automatic write, please, that is a way, even with the blindfold on, that you can access this Akashic field. I'm telling you, if you write, or have ever thought about writing, or could even think about writing, write. These messages that want to come through the Aquarian Collective, this is a great way to do it. Writing. Okay? Just coming through in a really big way. Now, for the Maven Oracle, we have the Reaper, number 2. For the birth of something new to manifest, the death of something holding you back is inevitable. 1000%. We're talking about the relationship to change. We're talking about, being willing to let go of something this challenge with the muse, something that we always did, or the person, or the way we always went about something is no longer doing it. Let those things fall away, because the stars are creating something. You're rebooting, right? That is a lot more advanced than how you were doing. You're moving on to that main course. So let things fall away to make room for this new updated operating system. Okay. The veil one. It's quite possible your eyes have become the fog in which you dwell, a half-swallowed glimpse of all that you truly are or can be, that the tears you bleed are ready for the storms to turn the skies inward. Hello. Your eyes have become the fog in which you dwell, a half-swallowed glimpse of all that you truly are or can be, that the tears you bleed are ready for the storms to turn the skies inward. Hello, the veil. This is talking about Samhain. This is talking about Beltane, depending on where you are. This is exactly what I was talking about. Our ancestors who came before us by candlelight, how did they access wisdom? How did they move about? How did the ancestors where you are move about? How did they make decisions? Did they look to the land? Did they rely on synchronicity? Did they rely on certain patterns that they noticed in nature? Did they look to the weather to inform them? Did they look at the animals in their environment to give them messages or inform them? It's time to go there. It's like you're going into the dark age, pre-technology, pre-industrial revolution, so you can be updated and then go into the frickin' space stratosphere where you're making a hot tub on a snowy bank underneath a mountain. I feel like the Aquarian Collective is like, and only the Aquarians Collective could hear that and go, yeah, I can see it. Homemade hot tub in the snow. It's very great. Come on, get into it. It's just, woo! And again, that whale, that esoteric wisdom. I'm hearing music as well. Music can be a wonderful way to, kind of bypass those neural pathways that feel stuck in a certain way, or stuck of fear and change, and open up, to something new, and really embrace the blindfold, embrace the burning of the map. Okay? There's something about that. So, woo, Aquarius. This was, yeah. Definitely a main course. I so hope that this helps and resonates. I am dying to hear what you think of all this. I'm an Aquarian too, so let's chat. Talk to me in the comments. What do you think about all this? What do you notice from this? Is there anything that I said that really resonates, but also, is there anything from this that really stands out to you that you're like, oh, what about this and this and this? Let's make this a co-creative reading, y'all. Let's make this a co-creative reading. Talk to me in the comments. What do you see? Because we are in this together. And I truly feel that if you're watching this right now, you're going to be picking up on certain aspects of this. And if we all come together as the collective and speak from our individual experiences and what we're individually seeing, it will help form the tapestry and be the blindfold. Let's be each other's vision. Ooh, she got shivers. Let's be each other's vision. I'm really feeling that. I've never made that call before, but let's do it, Aquarian. So please leave a comment. What do you see? What do you think? What do you feel? What comes up for you on this? Like, subscribe, all of that good stuff. I'm wishing you the happiest and most wonderful and most transformational event into Samhain season. I will be back with you again soon. I have a very exciting announcement coming, something that is coming around Samhain, by the way, which I will be updating you about very, very soon. And yes, just thank you guys so much as always for being here. But most of all, fellow Aquas, thank you for being you. And be well. Until next time.